still good morning for about another minute or two, so I just want to welcome you to our 2009 Alumni Day. I'm Arthur Shack, Chairman of our Alumni Association, if you don't know me, but I think I know most of the people here. We got a great day, and I'm glad to be out here with you. So to begin our ceremonies, I'd like to call on Scout Ruben Ojeda from Troop 70 in Queens, who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then the Scout Oath and Law.
Everybody please stand. Please for the flag, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody for the Scout sign. Scout oath. On my honor, I will do my best, do my duty, to guard my country and to obey Scout law. Help other people at all times. Keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And Scout law. The Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
It's fast every time.
I got one of those guys.
Okay, thank you, Ruben. Thank you. I just want to say that we're very happy to be here today. We know you've been able to tour our museum. We'll continue to tour it. Hopefully we'll have the donut machine going very shortly. But I just want to introduce a few people to you before we begin the festivities. We have with us today, well, first I'm going to skip purposely over some people who you'll hear from, but we have our Director of 10 Mile River with us, Sean Quinn. Who there is Sean? Very happy to take your money earlier. He has paid. We have our Reservation Directors, Mark Amatricola and Joe Amatricola. We have the Director of Camp Aquahanga, Anthony Allison. Is Anthony here? He's on his way. Our Director of Camp Kiowa, I just saw before, Kathy Ryle. Director of Camp Ranaqua, Dax Zaza. Director of Family Camp, is Tom Spiegel here? Maybe he's on his way. Okay, so just want to make sure we have, one other person who, because he's not going to speak, but I think he's important too to keep this place going. Veteran of many years in the scouting program, a Director of Support Services for the Greater New York Councils, Lex Jervis. All right, but in keeping this reservation going and the entire scouting operation in Greater New York Councils, we have a gentleman who is doing an outstanding job, especially in the trying financial times that we were all going through. So it's not only trying for ourselves and our families, but of course for scouting. But we're going to persevere and come through this even bigger and better. And I know he's doing a great job, and we're doing everything we can to work with him. But it's my pleasure to introduce our Scout Executive of the Greater New York Councils, Charlie Rossa.
I already am taking you home. I need those introductions all the time.
Anytime.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's 1 minute. Good afternoon. I'm not going to give a long speech, mainly because the top of my head can't handle the sun. And you can tell I've been out a little bit. Jack, you look sharp. Look at that hat. You can cut a pie with that thing. Wow, that's great. Always a man that's sharpened in uniform. Well, welcome to 10 Mile River. Many of you know this camp much better than I do. Many of you have had this camp as your home, as your place of employment, with all sorts of great memories, wonderful times, a few hijinks. It's amazing that when people talk to me about their experiences at 10 Mile River, they never talk about the things they did right. They always talk about the things that they got away with. And if you've ever had the opportunity to be in a reunion with your family, that always seems to be the case. I recall my mom and dad, a few years back, my sister and I decided to tell them at a little family reunion all the things that we got away with while they were parenting. And my dad finally looked at me and he gives this big scowl and he says, "Charlie, Nan, just don't talk about that anymore. I just don't want to hear it." But I really do like to hear those stories because they're fun. It's what makes camp unique. It makes your experiences all that more sweet. I ran into a camp staff member, Demetrius, the other day. Was on the Aquahunga staff and happened to be at Alpine, but this is still a story that if you've been on staff, how many of you were on, except for the guys in the green shirts, how many of you have been on staff at a Boy Scout camp? So doggone near 3/4 of the group. So you know how easy it is to be on camp staff. You know that everything is just, song, dance, short days, great food, wonderful lodging. In fact, you would do it if we didn't pay you. Or we would do you if you weren't paid, I'm sure. Well, Demetrius and I had the opportunity to have dinner together. And when I visited Alpine for the staff banquet, he drew the short straw, meaning that he got to sit across from me. And he started talking to me a little bit about his time in Aquahunga on the staff and what he did at Alpine as well. Now, Demetrius is an aquatic staff member. Now they're a breed all to themselves. First off, if you're on the aquatic staff, you think that you're really, really cool. And still wearing sunglasses. See? But then in a very simple and somewhat reserved manner, Demetrius started talking to me a little bit about his experiences here and elsewhere. And I said, "Well, you're a lifeguard. You do all sorts of things." I says, "What's been the scariest or the most challenging thing that you've done as a scout and as a lifeguard?" Demetrius thought for a moment. He says, "Well, it could have been the 3 lives I've saved." And my jaw hit the table. And I said, "In a scout camp?" And he says, No. One was at Jones Beach. The other one here, another one there. And I said, "You've saved 3 lives?" And he says, "Well, I'm not quite sure about the middle one because the EMTs arrived and gave CPR, relieved me from giving CPR, and so I'm not quite sure whether that man lived or not." And I got to thinking, here's a young man that wasn't trying to brag. In fact, most of the conversation I had to drag out of Demetrius. But this is a young man that used his scouting skills, used his knowledge, his training, his leadership to help 3 complete strangers at public beaches and save 3 lives. There is no better example, in my estimation, of what scouting does for young people and what scouting does for our community. And we have tens of thousands of young people in the greater New York councils learning about citizenship and character and physical fitness, and yes, maybe learning how to be a lifeguard. And when you think of what we do, and we think of all that you've done, you've got to say to yourself, what Demetrius did in saving 1 life, not 3, but 1 life, was worth everything.